At the John Daly Major Ed Foundation, we also focus on making sure that we partner up with great organizations. Great organizations like St. Jude's, great organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, our friends at Warriors for Freedom, our friends at Force 50 Foundation, which provides veterans the health care that they need. As you can see, we are the safety net at the John Daly Major Ed Foundation to make sure that no one gets left behind on the field of battle and that you're taken care of in the home front. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Hoorah!
And welcome back to Big's Golf Talk BGT 2.0. I am Big John Quick. We are on the 10th hole. Bill Cuevas is here, back here with us for the second hour. And Greg Wise, the wisest man in golf, all on the 10th tee box. And yes, we do have a foursome to start the 10th tee here on BGT 2.0. Bill, I'll tell you what, you and I both have developed this friendship, and it's been a friendship for about 12, 13 years now. With Major Ed Pulido, we have seen him in successes after successes after successes. And if there is one man that I could say that is really fought, not just on the battlefield, but off the battlefield here at home for our veterans, it's one Major Ed Pulido, Bill Cuevas.
Absolutely. He's a brother. He's family. I don't even talk about that friend stuff. He's family. Even Greg's part of that family already. Major Ed don't got friends. He got family. He has one of the biggest families outside the Army. You know what I mean?
Hey, Greg, when was it the first time that your interaction with Major Ed Pulido?
Was a video camera at the PNC this last year where I videotaped him for a little segment on you guys. And did not realize that his voice elevates so strong that he's passionate. And I'm sitting there with headphones on, almost ears bleeding, going, oh my goodness, turn it down. And now every time I hear the commercial and he closes with the hoorah, it's like a hoorah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, we have seen him where he's about to tape and we're like, talking to him just like this, you know, just, hey, how's it going? How's the family? Blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden the camera turns on. It's a great day to be an American.
Yes.
That's pretty much what I experienced.
Hey,
why don't you bring him on?
Hey, that's his inside voice.
Everybody be ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, CEO and one of the founders of JDME, John Daly Major Ed Foundation, is Major Ed Pulido. Here he is. Major Ed, welcome in to Big's Golf Talk BGT 2.0.
Well, it is a great day to be in America.
It's safe, folks. He didn't come in hot.
Thanks for and appreciate and great to see all of you. You guys have been friends of mine for a long time, and I wouldn't be here without people like you. So that's the way I look at it, and that's the only way I can premise it. You know, I'm lucky to be alive and lucky to be involved in some great things to impact people. And that's what we do each and every day. And sometimes we don't even know we do it, but when you give someone a hand up, it's not a handout.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Well, we got our next foursome for the Major Ed Invitational in 2023 right here. We're coming in hot to Oklahoma. We got the whole crew coming in. Don't forget us, Ed. We'll be there.
Right, so you better be ready.
Oh, we're ready. We're going to bring it. We're going to win it. We're going to win it. Not only are we going to bring it, we're going to win it. You heard it here first. We're going to win it next year.
Now, one of my questions, and for those that don't understand what you're doing right now, John Daly Major Ed Foundation, you have developed such a great relationship and a partnership with John Daly and the Daly Foundation and all that stuff. You guys have now launched the John Daly Major Ed Foundation. Talk about briefly, and I know you got a new initiative that you want to talk about, but this relationship with John Daly, how important is this for you?
Well, it's very important. I mean, joining John in 2020, I knew John, years before that, of course. We'd see each other at different events, specifically celebrity type events where they've asked us to come and play golf. And in 2020, during the COVID scare, and that's how I really kind of describe it. Everyone was kind of up in arms, didn't know what was going on. And John, and I sat in his kitchen and he asked me to join this mission. And John needed a legacy at the time, and everyone's.
Do we lose sound?
Bring to the table, and that people understand how important it is to create that legacy. And for John, he'd done all this great work and supported all these charitable causes, but he didn't really have his. And that's where the Heart of a Lion was born. The heart being the Purple Heart, and then the lion being his lion and his signature brand. And those two brands got together and created the Heart of a Lion Foundation to empower and support and provide mental, physical, and wellness to our nation's veterans and their families, our first responders, and America's children. And now we're adding the elderly, because at the end of the day, you know what? We're all going to get old. Mm-hmm. We're all going to, You
can put your hand down now, Mr. Wise.
I'm now paying attention.
That's what we're all about now.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, you talk about getting old, and Bill and I was, he was on the phone with me, or we were together or something like that. And I was on the phone with a friend of mine here in Albuquerque, and he golfs in a senior golf league on Wednesdays. And so he says, "Hey, you need to join." And I'm like, I looked at Bill, I'm like, "Well, what's the age?" And he's like 55. And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I am old." I'm now considered a senior at 55. Can you imagine
in today's world that you're a senior at 55?
Hey, AARP, baby, come on.
Coming in hot. Give me my discounts.
I know. I want to take my gold corral.
That's it. Now, Major Ed, I know that I was on social media and you got a big presence out there with the foundation and everything, and you went live and announced a new initiative for you guys. Can you tell us and give us more information about what the new initiative is?
Well, we've got actually quite a few of them coming down the pike. The biggest one that we've got coming down is the 1991 initiative, where for $19.91 a month, you could support our foundation and our endeavors. We also have a lot of stuff that we're dealing with. We just put out a new initiative called the Empowering the 22 initiative, which is to combat suicide, but not just talk about it. What we want to do is connect people to being difference makers, understanding that we can do some stuff with employability. We're working on an initiative to empower our veterans by providing them opportunities to work and successful. Working with my friends at Stewart Title now, working on making sure that home ownership is a very important endeavor for all our veterans. In Oklahoma, we found out that only 19% have used their VA loans in this state. So a lot of information, a lot of networking, and then just bringing partners together to respond to not only the first responder community, but to the veteran. Our first responder community kind of gets left out. There's a lot of negativity in the political spectrum all over the country. But at the end of the day, man, when somebody is in need, you're going to need someone from fire or rescue, or you may need a police officer. And at the end of the day, like I always say, you don't want to ever leave those people behind. You want to support them. You want to tell them thank you. And you want to be a part of their mission requirements to keep our communities safe. So doing all of those kind of activities, and every day something comes about, from Scars and Stripes Coffee that we're working with, to our endeavors with working with John and all of the various celebrity types that we've been involved with, to the events that are coming down the pike. We'll discuss those as well. We're just trying to be a hub for connectivity and for ambience, and for understanding that at the end of the day, we're going to bring everybody in our stable, and we're going to look out after each other, and it's going to be done in that ambient environment where we can use the game of golf as a way to support all of these mission requirements that we have, but utilize it as a way for philanthropy. And of course, you guys know my history in that, and I'm just glad and honored that I got the chance to work for Folds of Honor, got a chance to work with Warriors for Freedom, and now the John Daly Major Ed Heart of a Lion Foundation. We're changing lives, and all of those organizations. That's what sets us apart. Supporting organizations in these local footprints to raise money and make a difference, and that to me is what inspires me, motivates me, and I hope that that's kind of what you were looking for, because we just need to be a part of each other's family.
Well, you brought up a big thing that's been on my mind for a while now, the 22.
Yeah.
For most people that don't understand it or know what it is, it's about basically suicides. The 22 military that claim themselves every day and stuff like that, committing suicide and stuff. I see the impact that it has. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, and it's off topic, and you may not have an answer for me now, but maybe one day you will. You said you worked with the Folds of Honor. The Folds of Honor had a Greenie. Everybody knows Greenie.
So I was just going to say, we closely here had been affected by this 22.
Absolutely.
Personally, by losing this young man who he struggled, and I just wish, and part of the and Major, and then not to cut you off, Bill, but Major Ed, maybe there's something we can learn from this where we can reach out to these children of our of our military and see how they're doing wellness checks and things like that. It maybe, and I don't know if this is true or not, it just appears to us that Greenie was forgotten about at some point.
And it didn't appear that way. It was that way. He told us it was that way. That's how he felt, and ultimately that's what it's about. If you have a kid that's trying to organize other kids that have lost their family, their father, their mother, that have served our country, and they're all struggling, and they're struggling with committing suicide thoughts and all this other stuff, and we leave them behind because ultimately he was left behind. That's the way he felt. He told us that's how he felt, and ultimately nobody was there to help him. And the after effect, I mean, he's impacted our lives. I'm sure he impacted your life, Major Ed. He's impacted a lot of people's lives. I mean, in golf, that's where we met him. That's where we became a family with him, when we went to an event over in Michigan and we golfed, and he wore a skirt with me. You know what I mean? So, and ours was the first show that he was on, and he told us what his aspirations were in life. In the 2022, whatever it was, he's gone. His aspirations are gone. There's nothing there, for it. And the time that he did it was literally PGA show. We're going full force. Everybody's talking about parties.
Well, the other thing too, Bill and Major Ed and Greg is, we here sit back and say, God, why did he pick up a phone? Why didn't he call us? Yep. Why didn't he make that call? But then again, I'm going to flip it on us. Why haven't we called him?
Exactly.
And I think there's room here to learn something and build something, build a stable of people that could take a list and reach out for a wellness check. Hey, this is Big John from Major Ed Foundation, and we're just reaching out to see, how are you?
Yeah. Something. So if you guys don't have it in there yet, maybe something in the future. I don't want to forget our kids. We say our family, but kids are impacted, and I don't know if we totally 100% understand. Even to this day, with my daughter serving 4 tours, I don't understand what I went through. You know what I mean? The torment, not knowing, not hearing, not getting a phone call, not knowing when they're coming home, not when I'm going to get that call. If I get that call, is it from them? Is it from somebody else? We don't know. And it plays a huge role, but it also plays a role on them, their children. Everybody suffers along the line, because when you served, your wife served. Your children serves with you, because we're losing you for that time period. So we all serve with you. And when you come home, you still bring home what you serve with. And there's still those after things. And I don't want to forget any kid anymore. I want to make sure that all those kids out there understand that we're going to support them, just like, putting them in school is great, but getting them the mental resources that they need, I think would be huge.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that caught everybody somewhat off guard. There are people out there that are going to commit suicide because they're intent on doing it. And all those silent wounds of not only war, but silent wounds of culture. That's my new terminology for this, is the silent wounds of culture that we don't understand. The thing about it is that you're right, the family members struggle. If you really look at the numbers of the Empowering the 22 or Remembering the 22 or whatever the number is, that number is a lot higher because you're not counting some of these folks like that.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is the awareness piece that everyone's talking about. Well, that number's 17 now. Let me just tell you something. We're not counting some of these. We're not counting the other cases that may come about. My good friend Jay, he had
Milenichek
going on. And sometimes what happens is, I'm not saying that that's what happened in this case, but what happens is there are a lot of other stressors, your body chemistry, your issues related to what's going on in your brain dynamics, and all of those things set aside create an atmosphere of things that may happen. And then we lose someone like Jay. They're not counted in this number. And I'm not saying that they should be counted in that number, but at the end of the day, that number's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so to me, that's what we're not doing, is really having a comprehensive thought process and approach to how we do things. And let me just tell you something. I have a little fundamental issue right now. We're funding the country of Ukraine with large amounts of dollars from our taxpayers when we need to be taking care of business here on the home front. And look, God bless everybody around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you can't even take care of your own home and the people that are here that need that support and help, and you're over here trying to take care of everybody around the world and have no accountability of some of the way that those dollars may be spent, that's a fundamental issue that people like me have in the veteran community. And I only say that because right now we're actually trying to work on some legislative support. And the Major Richard Starr Act, you're going to hear more about it. Right now, if you've got under 20 years of service, you get a certain amount deducted from you. Let me just tell you something. That's problematic. It's problematic because you wonder why people are committing suicide. Well, pay them right. Pay them their what they should be honored with. Pay them their benefits. Make sure they're taken care of, and don't let them. Is my biggest advocacy effort right now is that at the end of the day, you know what? We're not even throwing enough money on it, and that's key. Until that changes, we're going to continue to have these statistics. If you really truly care about sending us to war and having all of these issues. And now I am coming on hot. If you go
in
and provide support when you come home on the home front, and you just throw these Band-Aids to it, this is what you get. And look at the casualty count behind these issues.
Yep.
Again, I'm not speaking. Look, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but the legislators need to understand this. Right now, you have people living on economic poverty because you're not paying them enough. Yep. And about it, that is so disrespectful. That is not right, and we have to change that and make sure that our veterans are empowered. And if you send us to war, that you understand that, you know what, that freedom was not free.
And here's the thing, and I'm going to piggyback off of this because I'm going to be your wingman here in the back here, and I'm going to come in off on your wing here, and I'm going to tell you this: you want to make cuts. Now you're going to give me a rant and raving on these politicians. You want to make cuts. You should never make a cut of a veteran. You should never make a cut of a person that has served this country. Never, ever. And you want to talk about benefits? Let's give them the best health care and stop this VA hospital BS. Give them the best health care. Why don't you, the politician, go to VA hospital and get your health care there? Why don't you, politician?
I'm going to piggyback.
But that
I'm going to piggyback.
Why don't you cut your services? Why don't you cut your stuff and give it to the veterans? Don't get me fired up.
You know what's funny? I'm going to piggyback on top of you. I hope you can hold the weight, Major. All right. Here, my daughter's serving. You know my daughter's serving, Major Ed, right? She is gone because she got shot by one of her people with a fake bullet in her eye. She's partially blind in her eye. She broke both her feet during boot camp. She's still serving. She got her first assignment. She's going. And you know what happens? Every time she went to the hospital, right? Now, mind you, she's serving in our country and got hurt while serving our country, right? You know whose bills getting paid? My insurance company. Because the VAs, whatever, the TRICARE or whatever it is, it's not covering anything. She got a $10,000 bill. And now she's serving and she's like, Dad, I can't afford this. I can't do this. I can't do that. So I get on the phone with my insurance company and they're like, oh, she's serving? Don't worry. We'll pick it up. So how is it that my insurance company can say, hey, you know what? She's serving our country. We're going to pick it up.
Can't pick
but
up
our country don't pick it up.
But yet we're going to send billions to a foreign country.
It's insane. It's insane. It wasn't like she went there and got shot playing around. Somebody actually unloaded their weapon by mistake and hit her in the face with it.
I'll tell you what, we're going to break away on the radio side of this, and we're going to head into our next segment on the next radio side. But stay tuned because we're going to continue on, and we're staying on the video side of things. And you're going to have to go to YouTube and see this fired up conversation. Greg Wise is up next on the 4th F-16 here on Big's Golf Talk. So we'll be right back right after this. Take care. We'll see you on the next segment on the radio side. All right, continuing on here on BGT 2.0, BGT TV, Major Ed Pulido, you're the leader, brother. You are the head F-16. You are the commander of this of this foursome here, and you know what? I'm with you, man. I am totally with you.
Yeah. Well, we just put fire in the hole right there, didn't we?
We sure did. You know, and the thing is, a lot of people, if you're they don't experience that, Major. They don't understand. You know, my daughter, honestly, she made more money working at Dunkin' Donuts than she did to enlist. And what most people may not understand, there's one reason my daughter opted to enlist, and that was because of you. She wrote a story when she was in the 2nd grade and interviewed Major Ed in the 2nd grade, and her whole aspirations in life afterwards. I want to be like Major Ed. Not like I want to be like Dad. I want to be like Major Ed. I want to serve my country. And that's what she kept telling us. Like, Sophie, you sure you don't want to go to college first and do that? Nope. I want to go into the military. I want to go into I want to go into the Army. And I'm sorry, Major. I was like, can you go into the Air Force? They do stuff from way behind. And she's like, nope. And I'm like, but it's a lot farther away when you do the Air Force. Nope, don't want to do it. I was like, there's an Air Force base right here in Florida. Nope. And she stuck to her guns, and no matter what happened, and I mean, she's gone through a lot in the last year. She's gone Army. They need people like you to be out there and say, you know what, it's a great day to be an American. But you know what, I'm a father of an American soldier, and that's what people forget: the American soldier. We get to go to golf. We get to do everything we got to do because of our American soldiers. Without them, we don't do anything.
Major Ed, you know, a lot of people take for granted that one vote on Election Day. People take it for granted, and they will vote against a person and not for a person in this country. Okay?
Yep.
Please tell us, and I know you know this because you're a veteran. You know how important it is. How important is a person's vote for a person and not against a person?
Well, that's a great question. In fact, I actually addressed that over the weekend, last week, when I was talking about how your vote needs to count. And the thing about it is that I'm appalled. And this isn't a political, whether I'm on this political aisle or the other, right. I'm appalled that right now, if you see what we have going on in public office, and this goes for everybody. So not just the president, but everyone. Right now, what we have going on in this country is so, what I would say, down in that we have leaders that can't even step up to the plate and speak eloquently to those that they serve. That it is all about what can I get, like the Ukraine issue. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. They're pumping a lot of money into that place, but where's that money going? Whose pockets is that money going into? And the thing about it is that these people that are representing our nation right now can't even articulate a message, can't even talk to the people, can't even go to Ohio and truly understand what those people are going through. And it's all about politics. It's all about the negativity around it. And I don't even know how we got here, but to elect it at the highest points of office that can't even talk to the American people, that can't even put sentences together, that we have a fentanyl issue going on all around this country, and that you laugh at it and you act like the border is secure, and you act like, you know, the issues that we have related to our relationship with our adversary, the Chinese regime, and all of the issues going on around the world. And look, let me tell you something. It's not even about a Democrat, Republican. It's a common sense. Like, what is going on in our country right now, where we have leaders that are not here to lead we the people? And that, to me, is what I see in the military right now, from the Department of Defense. I will tell you right now, the Department of Defense is broken. I'm not sure what is going on there. I know what your daughters experience. I know what our veterans are experiencing. I know what's going on with this woke culture. Bottom line is, get all of that stuff out of there. We're here to serve. We're here to protect this country. And we're here to make America the best that it can be. And that's not about Trump or this or that. It's about common sense that the American people understand. And that is that if you vote for people that are going to make a difference in your life. And right now, that is lacking, not on so many fronts that I can't just tell you. And I watched television yesterday. Bottom line, watching these people on television, who's running the country? I'm not sure who's running the country, because I'm going to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. God bless President Biden, and I'm praying for him. But you know what? He's got competency issues. He's got cognitive issues. He can't even speak about what is going on. And to me, you are the president of the United States. Speak to the people, represent the people. Don't do what's going on the border. National security is a huge issue. And I'm just not trying to dog him out, but someone's got to hold everyone accountable here. And that's the problem that we have. And so if you're going to change the way the trajectory of our nation right now, bottom line is, don't talk about unity. Bring people together and truly understand that unity is what empowers all of us to be the best that it can be, and not political parties.
Amen.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. Our leadership sits here and talks it to the media and you know, talks about warning. I'm warning Russia. I'm warning, you know, the Chinese people. I'm warning. And you know what they're doing? These people are sticking their middle fingers up at America, because your warning doesn't mean crap, because we're doing it. We're doing it. Russia's still fighting with them. Yeah. That's all it is.
It's talk. And they don't a lot of people don't respect talk.
I'll tell you what, right now,
always has been.
If you were the president of the United States, I would say even 5-10 years ago, that in that short time, you were the most powerful person in the world. I'm sorry. That White House, not just the president, but everybody around that issue, is no longer the powerful person in the world.
Well, just watch the press secretary articulate the issue. And we had balloons flying around, and we didn't detect that thing till it came into our space. I don't care what happened in the previous administration.
Right.
What I care about is what is happening now. Did the previous administration have issues? Yes, they had issues. Everyone has issues. Everyone understands those issues. I will tell you that one of the things that I talk about is this new deal with where the China virus originated. They lied to the American people. And to me, you know, I'm so glad to see that the FBI came out this past week and said, you know what? We know where this came from. And I've always said, I never said that China put something out there. What I said is that there was probably an accident that did occur in a lab and it got out. This wet market stuff, give me a freaking break. That's not what, how coincidental is it that the lab is right there by the wet market? I mean, that tell you something. And and here's where I see the compromise. Basically, here's the problem I have. You have a problem with recruiting military personnel right now? Well, you put out a vaccine mandate and didn't think it all through it. Not everyone wants to get a vaccine. Let me tell you why I'm against some of these things. Not against vaccines. I'm against this. When I was in the military, I took the anthrax vaccine, and what happened is I got an enlarged heart muscle that I'm going to live with for the rest of my life. My thing is, yes, there are side effects to these things that happen, but that's the educational process that we should have. But to pin politics, and that's the problem, politics infiltrated all of that. And now we can't even meet our recruiting goals. Nobody wants to join the military because they don't know whether they can trust you or not, because you may get thrown out of the military because you are going to be rated or unfit for duty. Take your daughter who's not getting the fair shake that she needs while she's in service, not a lot of money, but at the end of the day, can't even provide the health care that she needs to be successful, to improve her quality of life. After you basically had an accident that occurred. That's my point. When you look at it from all of those perspectives, you see that right now we're not united. No. We're fragmented. The thing is, that is what I'm advocating for. Coming together for common purpose, no matter who's in the political spectrum of office that's leading this country, that we're all on the same page and that we're all Americans together. And that's what President Ronald Reagan said years ago. We're either in this together or we're not. And if we're not, then you know what? You shouldn't be serving in the political realm. You shouldn't be making money in the political realm and getting rich off of it. That wasn't the intention. The intention by the forefathers was to serve your country for the greater good of all. And that to me is what builds my character every day. That's the integrity that I live by. And that is the work that I live by too. And I have to be very careful. And this wasn't a political show today.
This is a golf show.
I'll tell you what. Our guest is Major Ed Pulido. He is the CEO and founder of John Daly Major Ed, Heart of a Lion. And I'll tell you what, he just doesn't have the heart of a lion. He has the heart of a country, and he is willing to take the millions and millions of Americans' heart into his heart and do what he needs to do to make sure our military, veteran families, and our veterans are taken care of right here on the home front. Launching a new initiative, 1991, Major Ed Pulido. Talk about it.
Well, we launched in 1991 to make a difference, to provide mental, physical, and wellness to, again, our first responders, our veterans and their families, and America's children. We're now doing a lot to support our elderly population, working with various organizations all across the country to really support the efforts that we're involved in. And again, you know, one of the things that I will tell you, like with a lot of, I had a briefing on some climate change stuff the other day. Look, I think that there's issues with that, and I think we can agree with that. And one of the things that we talked about was the PACT, which is the burn pit issue. And a lot of our veterans were exposed to that. And I had somebody ask me the question and say, well, how do you know that really was the exposure that happened? I'm like, because if you take anything that you've seen on television lately, and this is why I advocate for veterans, I saw my dad with Agent Orange and those kind of cancerous stuff and what he went through. But let me just give you a little bit of history of why this PACT, the burn pit thing is very important, because that's something that I'm working on, have been working on for a while, and we ended up getting it passed. Not me, but a group of people. I mean, a bunch of people. And one of the things that we found is, if you really look at it, how many commercials do you see on Camp Lejeune these days? Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And cancer was related to being on that ship, or Agent Orange, or now the burn pits from Desert Storm and the burn pit issues from the exposures of Iraq and Afghanistan and multiple sclerosis and, ALS and all of these things that are coming out that people have no clue, and our military personnel and their children being born and having, disabilities that we are wondering where they came from. At the end of the day, if you don't think any of that stuff's real, then why are they playing the commercials? Why are the attorneys suing people for it? And there's a lawsuit on it. And my point is that we need to take these things to heart. And what we've discussed today is not to be negative towards our leaders, but just to ensure that they understand that. And so that's why we're doing the 1991, is to advocate for people that need a voice. And that, to me, is what I'm all about. And whether it's veterans and first responders and children and the elderly and just people that need our support and help, that's what I'm going to do. And I just want to do it together. And if we can get bipartisan support from all spectrums and make a difference, then we are better Americans because of it. And that, to me, is why the 1991, it's about John Daly's 1991 win, major championship, PGA, didn't have a lot of money, got an exemption, comes on in and wins the tournament. What a powerful story. Those are the stories we need to be telling across the country about the goodness that this country brings, because this country is the best country in the world because people want to move to it. People want to risk their lives on the border to come here. But more importantly, they want to do it right because they want to be successful, just like everyone has and has been in this country, past, present, and continues to want to do in the future.
Amen.
The biggest quote, I think, out of the 13 years that I've known you, Major Ed Pulido, is the 3 words: freedom isn't free. And this says it all in this, with the John Daly Major Ed Heart of a Lion Foundation and the 1991 initiative. The thing is, you guys are fighting the good fight, and we need to get that nonpartisan, to understand those 3 words and really know the true meaning of those 3 words and be there for our military veterans, the families of the veterans, the children of our veterans, the mental health care of our veterans. It's not regular physical health care, but the mental health care of our veterans. Major Ed Pulido, I want to thank you for coming on Biggs Golf Talk, BGT TV, and I'm going to let you say the final words regarding John Daly Major Ed Heart of a Lion Foundation 1991 initiative. What's the message out there for the golfers and the listeners out there?
Well, our message is mission first, team always, or people always. And I'm honored and grateful that I get an opportunity to be your friends and be a great colleague of what you're doing. Bill, Greg, and Biggs, and you guys have been in my life from day one and a lot of these endeavors that I've been involved with. And if you look at the collective connection that we all have, it was because we wanted to be a difference maker. Whether you're doing radio, whether you're doing golf, whether Bill is being the godfather of together because we have a knit. What's special about that, and that's what the John Daly Major Ed, and on behalf of John Daly, because he's our founder and a great friend, he would tell you the same thing too. It's always about the kids, but it's always about the people. And the people that are on this show today represent what is best about America. We're not perfect, but we're godly people. We live by our faith. We live by our love for country, and we live by our faith to help our families and the people that we help and support and serve. And that's the final word, is that when we all do that, we can be difference makers in America. And I'm just honored and grateful that I get to salute all of you and say, hey, what a great show. What a great segment. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about being adversaries with anybody. It's about holding people accountable and everybody working together for the greater good.
Thank you, Major Ed.